Hello, beautiful person. Bricheyenne checking in. Welcome back to my channel. If you are coming back, then hello, welcome back. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Bree. Welcome to my channel where we talk about all things crime, mysterious, and things that are just creepy. So if that sounds like something you like or something you might like, then hopefully you enjoy this video and more to come, and you can always subscribe to get notified when I post new videos. I don't really like long intros, so that's all I'm going to say for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the video now. A brutal crime shocked Singapore in 1979 when 4 siblings were murdered in their own home and discovered by their parents. This case, most well known as the Geylang Bahru murders, remains unsolved with very little information or evidence almost 42 years later. Now, just as my last video, as I stated, I'm going to do my best to pronounce all the names and places as best as I can, but if I mess up, please forgive me. The Tan family consisted of mother 30-year-old Lee Mei Ying, father 38-year-old Tan Kuan Chai, 10-year-old Tan Kok Peng, 8-year-old Tan Kok Hin, 6-year-old Tan Kok Soon, and 5-year-old Tan Chin Ni. The family of 6 lived in a 1-bedroom apartment known as Block 58 in Geylang Bahru, Singapore. The parents earned their income by operating a minibus business, taking other children to and from school. Their 3 boys attended Bendemeer Primary School, and their daughter was in her 2nd year at a nearby People's Action Party, or PAP, kindergarten. Now, PAP is one of the major political parties represented in Singapore. On January 6, 1979, the couple left their home around 6:30 a.m. to begin their work while the children were still in bed. This was something they normally did. And I just realized January 6th, actually the anniversary for this murder is coming up. Lee Mei called the house at 7:10 to wake the kids for school, again, something she normally did. Abnormally though, she received no answer. She would call twice more, only to still receive no answer. Lee Mei began growing worried and asked their neighbor to wake the children, who agreed. The neighbor knocked on the family's apartment door, but also received no reply. The couple returned home from their work around 10 a.m. and were met with a ghastly sight. In the bathroom were their 4 dead children, all in t-shirts and underwear, piled on top of one another. The way the children were murdered was just absolutely brutal. They were hacked to death, and each one had at least 20 slash wounds. The oldest, Tan Kok Peng, is suspected to have struggled with the killer, as his fist was clutching a long piece of hair and his right arm was nearly severed. The youngest daughter, Tan Chin Ni, suffered wounds to her face. It was determined that the murders were likely premeditated, as the killer would have had to have known that the parents were not home at the time. That would also indicate to me that the murderer is someone familiar or close with the family. So sometime between 6:35 a.m. and 7:10 a.m., these 4 children were murdered in a frenzied attack. The killer also made an attempt to dispose of and clean away any forensic evidence, as proven by the lack of murder weapons and only a little bit of blood found near the sink. The murder weapons are believed to be a dagger and a chopper taken from the kitchen, both of which were never found. There were no signs of forced entry and nothing appeared to be stolen, so robbery was not a motive. In the opinion of the Tan family as well, the killer was someone they knew. Common places where children used to play were now deserted, as many parents opted to keep their children behind locked doors out of fear of this child killer. Some residents noted that little children were now confined to their homes whenever adults were not with them, and those going to and from school were always escorted by their parents. A funeral was held for the 4 children on January 7th, 1979, where they were then buried at Choa Chu Kang Cemetery. During the funeral, Lee Mei fainted numerous times as her children were put into their individual caskets. The investigation was conducted by the Special Investigation Section of Singapore's Criminal Investigations Department, or CID. Over 100 neighbors and family members were questioned, but very little information was found to aid the investigation. A neighbor of the Tans, 68-year-old Yam Yin Tin, normally sat outside her apartment during the time the murder occurred and could have seen someone go in or out. However, she claims that she was washing her hair that day. 2 women were taken in for questioning by police, but released later that same day. It was never revealed why they became linked to the case or if they had even been of any help to the police. Several appeals made to the public also bore no significant advancements. Police were unable to identify a motive, but inferred that the murders were motivated by vengeance. However, the Tan family has been pretty adamant that they didn't have any enemies that would commit such an atrocious act. One individual reported seeing Lee May arguing with the man from a nearby apartment, but the individual who apparently witnessed this could not be traced. Another witness who claimed he had seen a couple near the crime scene, one of whom had bloodstains, turned out to be a hoax. The killer seemingly had personal knowledge of Lee May's fertility, or infertility as I should say, as the couple received a chilling letter 2 weeks after the murders for Chinese New Year. The image on the card was of children playing, with a message in Mandarin that read, quote, "Now you can have no more offspring, ha ha ha," end quote. It says can, but I'm just going to assume they meant can't for this following reason. Lee May had her tubes tied after the birth of her youngest daughter, which is something only someone close to the Tan family, at some point at least, would have known. Furthermore, the couple was addressed by their nicknames in the card, Tan Kuan Chai as Ah Chai and Lee May as Ah Ang. The card was signed off with the murderer. Now, all of this only amplified the theory that the killer was someone close to the Tan family. Lee May's brother told the media that a possible reason for the murders was because she and her husband were involved in a tontine scheme. Now, a tontine scheme, as defined by Google, is an annuity shared by subscribers to a loan or common fund, the shares increasing as subscribers die until the last survivor enjoys the whole income. That just sounds so morbid. However, this claim by Lee May's brother was unfounded by the Singapore CID. Now, a primary suspect in the case, and the only it would appear, emerged when a witness reported a promising lead. A taxi driver told investigators he picked up a man around 8 a.m. the morning of the murders near Block 96 along Geylang Bahru Road, which isn't far from the crime scene. If you'll recall, the family lived in Block 58, which is no more than 10 minutes from Block 96. According to the driver, the man walked with a lurch, had bloodstains on the left side of his body, and had a knife that banged against the door as he exited the vehicle. The taxi driver estimated the man to be in his 20s and was able to provide police with a description. Based on this description, the suspect was identified by Tan Nguyen as one of their neighbors, a Malaysian man close to their family. So close, the children refer to him as Uncle. Uncle was picked up by CID to appear in a lineup and was positively identified by the taxi driver as the man he had given a lift to on the morning of the murders. Despite the identification, Uncle was released 2 weeks later due to insufficient evidence and eventually moved out of Block 58. As I stated earlier, it seems like he was really the only main suspect, the only one that was arrested in relation to this crime, but multiple theories can be found online about the reason behind these murders. For example, a comment found on a video about this same exact case by a YouTuber named Kaylee Elise. In a now unavailable video, one person who claimed their mother grew up in the Geylang Bahru area at the same time of the murders left a comment saying, now this is going to be pretty long, so bear with me, but I do want you guys to hear all of this. Quote, I live in Singapore and my mom lived in Geylang Bahru when she was young. This is what she told me. She said, everyone in the area knows it was their uncle who murdered the kids. Their parents were supposed to buy some 4D, which is a local lottery where you bet on 4 numbers, for the uncle. Now, when the number the uncle picked came up as winning, he went over to the Tans to collect his money, but was told by the Tans that they had forgotten to buy the lottery tickets for him. He was angry and didn't believe them. When the Tans bought the mini school buses to operate their transport business, it confirmed in his mind that they had kept his winnings to themselves. So he murdered their kids as a revenge to end their bloodline, as he knew Mrs. Tan had sterilization done. In East Asian culture, not having an offspring to continue your bloodline is a family shame. And he knew the kids would open the door for him when he visits like they often do. As for why Mr. and Mrs. Tan would not report the uncle, is apparently they were involved in drug activities and the uncle is in a street gang. If the Tans were to report the uncle to the police, he might rat them out and they would get arrested. Dealing drugs in Singapore gets you the death penalty even till this day. No neighbors would report the uncle for fears of being a target of a gang, which explains why no one is willing to provide any information to the police, and also that Granny so happened to be washing her hair, end quote. So the last sentence of that, when they were talking about the granny washing her hair, that was in reference to the Tan's neighbor, Yam Yin. If you recall, she said she was washing her hair on the day of the murders, even though she always sat outside. Now, this is a comment by an internet stranger, though, so maybe just take it with a grain of salt. Another article stated one theory was that Lee May was having an affair with Uncle. It's unclear to me where the writer of this article found this information or why this would have resulted in the children being murdered, but perhaps it was a jealous rage over the affair ending, if that's even true. That's the only reason I could think of. But again, these are all just theories and none of them have been founded by Singapore police. Lee Mei Ying and Tan Kuan Chai eventually ceased their minibus business and began working for a company that produces PVC materials, PVC being a form of plastic. After failing to adopt a child due to no babies being available for adoption, Lee Mei had her sterilization procedure reversed in 1981 and gave birth to a baby boy on December 30th, 1983. Wow, not only did the anniversary of this coming up, but that baby boy's birthday just passed. Happy birthday to you, or a belated birthday. Then 35-year-old Lee May had this to say about the birth. Quote, I am grateful to Dr. T.H. Lean, her gynecologist, who has made this birth possible. I went to him in 1981 with hardly any hope of being pregnant again. I asked a few doctors who said they could not help, end quote. The Tans still have to walk around with the weight of the accusations that they're withholding information regarding the murders. But if you are watching this and you may have any information, you can contact the CID with this information or the Singapore police with this information. Now just imagine how you would feel if this was someone in your family. I'm sure you would want that person to do the right thing. So if you are someone with information, you should do the right thing. But may the Tan children rest in peace. That is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Thank you for staying all the way until the end if you did. Hope to see you back for my next one. Bye.